Hi, welcome to the show. Today is January the 21st of the year of our Lord 2025, and I am going to remove any sort of introduction to the show that I typically do, and we are simply going to jump into this because what I witnessed on Saturday night was one of the most pitiful, pathetic, and laughably inexcusable performances on a national stage that I have ever seen from any sports team across every single league ever. Now, I want to start this by naming a few things that I simply do not want to hear from Lions fans. Point number one, we still had a great year. First of all, I don't care. You could have gone 17-0. If you lose in the playoffs in the first round, let alone get blown out, you didn't have a great year. So stop fooling yourself. Number two, we had injuries. You know, if I had a nickel for every time I got to hear about injuries, I'd be a billionaire. I'd be Bill Gates. We had injuries all year. That didn't stop us from winning 15 games and winning most of our games by double digits and having one of the best franchise records in the history of the NFL or in the history of the Lions and winning back-to-back division titles. Suddenly the injuries become a thing when we lose. But we can never overcome them when we win, apparently. And point number three, we'll be back next year. Well, that's funny because I don't remember, for one, asking what you thought we would be back next year. But secondly, I didn't know you were a fortune teller and you knew the future because I was told that it was a sure thing. Of course, this Lions team would make the NFC Championship. I mean, they're the 1 seed. They're 10-point favorites. They're at home. ESPN Analytics says you got a 70% chance of winning the game. So don't give me the we'll be back next year. Ask the 49ers if they'll be back next year. Okay? Ask the Minnesota Vikings if they'll be back next year. Ask the Dallas Cowboys if they'll be back next year. There is no we'll be back next year because next year is its own year and it's going to have its own little struggles. And you don't know anything about what's going to happen next year. Moving along then. I will say this. This is, as I said before, undoubtedly one of the worst losses in the history of the Detroit Lions. Let me say it once more for the people in the back. This is undoubtedly one of the worst losses in the history of the Detroit Lions. It's on par as leaving Sterling Sharp wide open in the playoffs. Remember that? I don't. I wasn't alive. It's as bad as blowing the NFC Championship game last year, and it is, yes, as bad as the last time the team based in Washington murdered you in the playoffs. It is the pinnacle of Lions football, the way they lost that game. Every single stereotype and every single joke and every single generic opinion that if you asked anybody who doesn't know anything about sports what the Lions are, that game is exactly what they are to those people. So now, let's play the blame game, shall we? Who is most to blame? All right? We're going to start with the players. We'll get to the coaches in just a little bit because I got a lot to say about them too. Firstly, defensively, I just got to ask earnestly, does anybody want to keep their job? Literally anybody. You have the opportunity of a lifetime. You are starting in an NFL playoff game in front of everybody, national television, and you get 2 stops. One of them you got because Dan Quinn wanted to be cute and try to run a QB sneak with Marcus Mariota. The other one, it's nothing short of a miracle, the way you were playing. Outside of Alex Anzalone and Brian Branch, nobody on the defense looked ready. Nobody on the defense made plays. Nobody stepped up. It was a whole bunch of just letting them have it. You got how many 4th downs they let get them. You have chances to flip the game. Somebody can make a play on 4th down. Nope. Don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. Now on the offensive side, you already know what I'm going to talk about. Jared Goff played one of the worst games of football that I have ever seen him play in a Detroit Lions uniform, short of maybe the first few games he played when he got here, and his best receiver was, I don't even know. Was Marvin Jones on that team? I don't even know. I don't even, like me. That was when Tom Kennedy was his best receiver. Now, here's the thing, Jared. That team wasn't the 85 Bears. They weren't even, the Seattle Seahawks of the 2010s. Defensively, that team was mediocre at best. And you made them look like the 85 Bears. You made them look like the best defense in the whole freaking league. All right? Inexcusable turnovers. Absolutely, completely shattered in confidence. Not cool, not calm, not collected like he normally is. Completely out of his realm. And I don't care who you are. To quote the great coach, Jim Mora, I don't care if you're playing a college team, a junior college team, let alone an NFL team. If you turn the ball over 5 times, one of them for a touchdown, you are not winning a football game. Jim, what else do you have to say?
In my opinion, that sucked.
Thank you, Coach. In my opinion, that sucked. All right? I have been defending you. I have been praising you all year about being an MVP caliber quarterback, a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, and you go out on national television and decide, you know what? I don't want to play football anymore. I'm just going to throw the ball to the guys in white. Inexcusable. Inexcusable. And I'm sure he knows it. Now, moving along to the parties whom I blame more primarily than the players even. We got the coaches. Aaron Glenn, I got to ask you a question. What do you do when your blitzes never get home against a mobile quarterback who is dicing your secondary up, which already just had another injury in the first 3 plays in Amik Robertson? What is it that you do? Do you, A, make an adjustment and stop blitzing like a maniac because it's not getting home? Or B, let's just blitz more. Make an adjustment. You want to be a head coach? You're going to have to change when circumstances are not going your way. These guys went out there was no strategy. There was no adjustments. You had guys running wide open by 30 feet on slant routes. You had screen passes that went for 1 billion yards because nobody knows how to tackle on this team. And I don't want to hear about injuries. We already talked about that. And what made it even worse is they actually did a pretty decent job running the football. They ran for 182 yards on you, something that this defense has always supposedly been good at. And don't give me no Aleem McNeil. You didn't have Aleem McNeil last 3 games. Teams weren't running all over you like this. All right? Just not the case. And don't give me that the corpse of Austin Eckler and who the hell else do they have on there? Brian Robinson Jr. are, Barry Sanders and Billy Sims. Okay? All right. Now, moving along to Ben Johnson. Ben, buddy, you're one of the top offensive coordinators of the league. You have made a name with running all these trick plays and ingenuity and utilizing every guy on the field so nobody expects what you're going to do. But Ben, you are down 10 points. It is the 4th quarter. Why are you running a trick play for your wide receiver to throw into triple coverage? What are you thinking? Do you not want to be here? Evidently not, because 2 days later, he's with the Chicago Bears. Maybe if your head was a little out of Chicago and more focused on Detroit, we wouldn't be having this kind of a conversation. Now would we, Mr. Johnson? Secondly, because you get 2 points, Mr. Johnson, the Commanders went into this game as the 3rd worst running defense in the league. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, who is playing at an all-pro level and having one of the best stretches of games ever for a Detroit Lions running back. And you give him just 14 total carries, and on a 3rd and 1, where you have a chance to go up double digits if you score a touchdown, you run a pass play when Jahmyr Gibbs is running all over their defense. All over it. They couldn't stop him if they had 24 guys on the field. They couldn't stop him if they had their offense on the field as well as their defense on the field. That's how good he was doing. Goff was clearly rattled the entire game, yet you insisted upon having him throw the ball 40 times, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the fact that we know that they have a terrible run defense. Can you please, anybody on this coordinator room, please make an adjustment? Anybody? Or are we just going to stick to running the old bundle-rooski, or whatever that stupid State Farm commercial is? Moving along, because the head coach is not without blame either. Dan, I love you. And and your coordinators, all right? They're your coordinators. They were lifeless. They could not make adjustments. The team looked confused. They had no confidence. They were playing not to lose, not playing to win, like they have all year long. In primetime games, you have always had the team prepared and ready for action. I have never seen this Lions team come out with such little poise and so unprepared. You had 2 weeks to get your mind set on what you wanted to do, all right? I know you only had a week to prepare for Washington because you didn't know who you were going to play. But damn it, this was not a good Washington team. This isn't some, we're not talking about some powerhouse team that ended up as a wild card, right? We're not talking about Minnesota, who won 14 games. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a team with a rookie quarterback, with a new head coach, with a new general manager, rosters filled with guys who have been in the league for some of them almost a decade, and you made them look like the greatest show on turf in your own house in front of God, your fans, and everybody. Every single person, from Sheila Hempford to Brad Holmes to the players on the field, should be ashamed of that performance. That was just inexplicable. Inexplicable. If you would have lost in the NFC Championship game to a really good Eagles team or to a feisty Rams team, I could have at least accepted, well, it was tough to get here. It's hard to win these games when you have so many injuries, especially at that point you would have been without Amik Robertson most likely. But to lose when you have everybody on your side, the media is on your side, the analytics are on your side, the players on the field are more talented on your side than on the other side. And yet, you did the exact thing that the Lions always do. They always get the hype. They always are told this is going to be different. This year's going to be the year where they finally break through. And damn it, I believe that was the case. And what happened? They went out there and they showed their rear ends to their fans. Absolutely inexcusable. And I am losing my fandom bliss. I'm losing my reason even to suggest that, well, okay, maybe next year this team can put it together. It's tough to come back from a loss like this. It's tough culturally. It's tough emotionally when you just came into this game thinking it was yours to lose. And well, guess what? You went out there and you lost it. And it wasn't like you didn't have opportunities to win it. You squandered them like you squandered every opportunity that this franchise has ever had. Every single one. From the blowout, from the terrible comeback when you were blowing out the 49ers last year, to the NFC Championship in 91, when you had Barry Sanders in his prime, to the countless years with Calvin Johnson, all of it. This is on the same level. And I'm not saying they're going to go back to just go being the same old Lions. I'm not ready to say that. But to act like this was not that is foolish. That's all I have to say about that. Hi, it's me again. If you enjoyed what you just saw, hit the like and subscribe button. We do live shows every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there.